What's up, everybody? Today we have another NASCAR Weekly prediction episode. I promise there's some other stuff coming. I'm not just going to do nothing but NASCAR. I'm going to do some other stuff through the summer. But for now, I have another NASCAR Weekly prediction and preview episode. I do want to say one thing. Due to some things going on with my family, I hope you all can forgive me. Um, I'm recording this episode before the Pocono race. This is obviously not the Pocono episode. This is the Atlanta episode, which more on why I'm saying that later. Um, so I'm recording this before the race weekend even happens, when I'm recording two episodes at once. So what I'm telling you is it's going to be a little bit shorter. I'm not going to have power rankings because I don't think it'll be fair to do power rankings without having the Pocono results. So I won't know who won Pocono. Pocono will not be factored into here. We're not going to have storylines from Pocono. This is just going because I'm recording this ahead of time. So I hope you guys can forgive me. But this is I guess really a pre-Pocono Atlanta preview. I still have some storylines. I still have the statistics. That stuff isn't changing, and I can still predict what I think is going to happen. Hope that's okay with everybody. And with my luck, I'll probably miss something huge that happened at Pocono. And if that's the case, I will go back and talk about it the week after, before Chicago. So without further ado, let's get into it. Storylines going into Atlanta. Well, without, again, knowing the Pocono results, this is my four storylines. Why are we changing names? As in, why do I have to now call it the Echo Park Automotive Speedway, or I guess it's just the Echo Park Speedway? I hate it. I understand why tracks are doing it. Name rights, it gives you deals. It's really the same thing as every other sport. One thing I appreciate about NASCAR, though, is that you knew exactly where you were because the racetrack matched up with that, right? I think it's kind of silly. To me, it's always going to be Atlanta, and I think to a lot of people, it's always going to be Atlanta. You know, Atlanta has gone under that new look over the last couple of years, so maybe new name for a new look. But personally, I'm going to keep calling it Atlanta. I think a lot of the fans will. It's the same track. So if you get confused when you see Echo Park Speedway on the schedule, it's really just meaning Atlanta. Why are we changing names? I understand it's for money, but not the biggest fan. Maybe you guys will be with me and continue to call it Atlanta. Does chaos happen this week, guys? This is one of the two drafting speedway type tracks left. Obviously, the other one being Daytona in the regular season finale. Shane Van Gisbergen massively shook up the playoffs with his win at Mexico City. Can somebody else do it at Atlanta? There's always a chance. I think there's more cars that can come in and win this race than there is on a normal week. And there's some super speedway drivers that are pretty good, some teams that are pretty good that definitely have this circled as a race they can win every year. You know, there's always a chance, right? Especially at this type of racetrack. Only one way to find out, right? Maybe we get a Harrison Burton type situation from Daytona last year at Atlanta this year. Especially because this is going to be the last one of the last chances. Not a last chance if you're a road course guy, you know. Like somebody who you think who's good on super speeds and road courses, somebody like Michael McDowell. But Michael McDowell has other chances, right? Because he's good on road courses. But there are some guys who I think their best chance is on super speedways, whether it's their car, their driving style. Somebody like Ricky Stenhouse, a Noah Gragson, a Todd Gilliland, like from like the front row guys. Some of the like I think for some of those drivers, this is going to be their last chance to win a race to make the playoffs, which could lead to even more desperation, some even bigger moves coming from their drivers. And yeah, guys, prime coverage ended with Pocono. We're going into TNT. The prime coverage has been fantastic. I think everybody has loved it. I think it was really a breath of fresh air on how people and how networks can cover it. Obviously, Prime has the advantage; they can do. They're not limited by TV times and having to get out to the next thing or stuff like that. And I think Prime did a good job. Now it's TNT and Turner Broadcasting. How are they going to do? Right? I'm very interested to see what TNT's first broadcast looks like. Obviously, HBO Max has had all the in-car camera stuff. But they haven't broadcasted, and that's a very different game. I, for one, am interested to see what it looks like. everybody's favorite page, the history, the next gen history at Atlanta. The winners. This is the first repeat track, so this is going to be the first track where I have 2025 winner listed. So you can see William Byron with 2 wins, Chase Elliott with a win, Joey Logano with 2 wins, Daniel Suarez, and then Christopher Bell as part of his 3-race win streak earlier this year came out of nowhere to win Atlanta. Hendrick Motorsports has 3 wins here. Joey Logano has 2 wins here, and then Daniel Suarez has a win here. Yeah, a lot of big names. Best average finish is Ryan Blaney. He has a lot of second place finishes, a third place finish. Ryan Blaney's always at the front. 6.7 average finish. Pretty darn impressive at a super speedway style racing track because of how big the wrecks can get. Chase Elliott, his home racetrack, average position of 10.5 and a win. Daniel Suarez with 11 and a win. Ross Chastain with 11.4, almost with a win, but not quite. And then Kyle Busch, maybe you didn't realize it, Kyle Busch. So 4 Chevys and a Ford at the top of the best average finish. And AJ Allmendinger, he only has started 3 of the 7 next gen races here. So, maybe not enough of he has started less than half the races, so I didn't want to include him, but he does have an average finish of 11. So, maybe somebody like AJ Allmendinger, who's starting to run out of time to get in points, but still has a chance, can find himself having a good day. Most top 5s. Ryan Blaney and Daniel Suarez, 2 of the 3 members of that super memorable finish back in the spring of 2024. Both have 4 top 5s in 7 races. They're both very good at this track. Blaney's still searching for his first win. Suarez obviously has one. Both of these guys have been super fast here. Christopher Bell, with his win, is now by himself and breaks out of the tie. He is at 3 top 5 finishes, and then 5 drivers are tied at 2. Ross Chastain, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, and William Byron. There is some other drivers here. Corey LaJoie has 2, but I don't know if he's going to be racing in this one or not. And then most top 10s, Ryan Blaney has 6 top 10s in 7 races here. That's some darn good consistency. Daniel Suarez and Kyle Busch both have 5 out of 7. Ross Chastain with 4. And then 6 drivers tied with 3. Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, Christopher Bell, William Byron, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I think you can see who your top 3 drivers are on this course. Top 3 or 4. Blaney, Suarez, Busch, and Chastain, I would say, are all there. And then I'd put Joey Logano near the top of elite drivers at this track as well. Definitely not a lot of Toyotas up there other than Christopher Bell. Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace are usually pretty good at this type of racing. They haven't had the finishes. I don't know if Toyota, other than Christopher Bell winning, didn't have a great day here in the spring this season. So maybe Toyota isn't so fast this week. But then again, I said that in the spring, and Christopher Bell came out and won the race. So who knows? Definitely probably looking at Chevy or Ford this week. And speaking of favorites to win, team rankings, Team Penske super fast here. They have Ryan Blaney's been the best, most consistent driver here. Logano's won 2 races. Cindric is good at this type of racing. Team Penske, my favorite to win. Hendrick Motorsports has a lot of drivers that feel comfortable at Atlanta, and it's hard to count Hendrick Motorsports out on any track. I like Hendrick Motorsports. Trackhouse, number 3. They have 2 different drivers who are very successful here in Chastain and Suarez. They have a win with Suarez. Trackhouse seems to like this racetrack. I like Trackhouse to be competitive this weekend. RFK in front row. Outside of those top 3 teams, there's not one team that's necessarily consistent. And I know it's a super hot take to not have Joe Gibbs here. And, maybe I should have Joe Gibbs ahead of front row. But front row loves to get poles. They're always fast here. They have a lot of bad luck with wrecking at Atlanta. But front row and RFK, they're Fords. These Fords are super fast on drafting tracks. RFK and front row, I think both are going to have speed this week. They both probably put one, if not multiple cars in the top 10 in qualifying. Those horses of Ford love to run on super speedways. Would not shock me to see them out front, Penske, RFK, and front row. again, Hendrick and Trackhouse have built speed, has speed here as well. Driver rankings, my favorite, Ryan Blaney. If he keeps on bringing this much speed and keeps running this well, he's going to win one eventually at Atlanta. Has other super speedway wins in his career. I like Ryan Blaney to be the favorite. William Byron has won 2 races a year. He's already won a drafting track this season. William Byron likes this style of racing. Unless he won at Pocono, hasn't won since the first race of the season at Daytona. Remember, I'm recording this early, but I like William Byron to be competitive here, potentially seeking his second win of the season. Daniel Suarez, one of those guys that desperately needs a win. I don't think he can point his way in. Desperately needs a win. He's won at this track before. Maybe Daniel Suarez finds his way to victory lane. The only Trackhouse Racing driver to not win a race so far. Joey Logano, he's already locked in, but it never hurts to have playoff points. Joey Logano looking for a good finish. Chase Elliott, and again, another guy who, unless he won at Pocono, which is very likely if you listen to last week's episode, is somebody who's very good on points, but still hasn't gotten a win, still on a long winless streak. NASCAR's most popular driver. Maybe he does it at his hometown again. Ross Chastain, very aggressive, which sometimes works out very well at this kind of track, sometimes doesn't. Ross Chastain certainly doesn't care about making enemies. Him and Trackhouse both have had speed here. I look to see Ross Chastain pushing the envelope from the front of the pack. Kyle Busch desperately needs a win on an even longer winless streak. Kyle Busch, good luck to you. Was second place and that, or third place, second place, with Ryan Blaney and Daniel Suarez in that super famous 3-way finish where guys were separated by 3 cars were separated by less than a tenth. Kyle Busch has mixed results on super speedways, but I think he will find his way to some speed this weekend. Cindric, maybe this is disrespectful. There's just some guys who are so fast on this track. Cindric might be the best drafting track driver in the sport right now. He's so good at these tracks. Penske and Ford are so good at building fast cars. Cindric, looking for a second win of the year, definitely can get some stage points to help build playoff points going into the playoffs. Cindric, man, maybe he can start getting himself momentum going towards playoffs at this track. Denny Hamlin is a very good, he's won 3 Daytona 500s. So he knows how to get around a drafting track, has had a lot of wrecks and some bad luck at this type at Pocono. Obviously, he's already in the playoffs. I would say he's competing for the regular season championship, but I think sitting out at Mexico City is going to hurt him there. Definitely trying to stay in the top 5. Likes this, again, good at this type of track. Maybe Denny Hamlin sticks around and proves me wrong about Toyota not having speed here. And then Christopher Bell, he won the first race of the season. I thought it would be disrespectful to leave him off. There are some dark horse candidates, maybe even somebody like Ricky Stenhouse or some other Fords. I have Front Row Motorsports as a team to win it, but I don't have any other drivers in the top 10. Front Row's going to have speed. I just don't know which driver I like the best. But it would be disrespectful to me to leave Christopher Bell off, so I have him there. Again, guys, no power rankings this week because I don't think it's fair to do power rankings without seeing what happens at Pocono, and it would just be the same anyway. So there's no power rankings this week. They will return next week. Let me know who you like to win Atlanta in the comments. Let me know in the comments what you think is the most important thing from Pocono I didn't talk about in this episode because I had to record it early. Put it in the comments, whatever you think. Maybe it's a wreck, maybe it's a race winner, maybe it's a playoff hopeful, a playoff bubble guy crashing out and losing a whole bunch of points. Whatever, something like that is the most important storyline that I missed out on by recording this early. Again, not by choice. I had to. Put it in the comments below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Those are the things you can do that help me the most, help any creator the most. I hope this early episode is okay with you guys. It should be back to normal for next week. Thank you for taking time out of your days, your weeks, and your lives for listening. Everybody, keep yourself safe. Keep your family safe. Stay safe in general out there. Peace out.